This is the Chuck Smith Show on Cape Atlantic Live, giving you the latest news on all things Mainland Regional Football. Now here's your host, Nick Costco, and Mustangs head coach, Chuck Smith.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Chuck Smith Show here on Cape Atlantic Live. I'm your host, Nick Costco, and with me, as always, is Mainland head coach Chuck Smith. I should say sectional champion head coach Chuck Smith. 12-0 Mainland Mustangs, 35-13 over the defending state champion Millville Thunderbolts on Friday night on the road at Wheaton Field. What an environment. What a game for you guys, Coach. It was an unbelievable thing to call on NJ.com on Friday, and I'll tell you what, you guys brought it every single possession. I've never seen you guys play maybe a more complete game all season until that one on Friday night.
Yeah, thanks, Nick. Appreciate it. The kids did. They did everything we asked. They came to that place very confident in what we could do in that game. They proved it on the field. I said this in some of the interviews that occurred after the game. I think I might have mentioned this last week. Watching the film from last year's game really set the tone for the week. And as I looked at it, we were the better team, I thought, last year. Just made too many mistakes against a great football team. And hats off to them for capitalizing on it and being an eventual state champion. And after looking at film this year, it's basically the same two teams back again, minus a couple players on both sides. Mm-hmm. But I really thought and related to the kids, I really think we're the better team again this year. And we just got to go out and prove it because nobody outside the Mustang Corral was picking us to win this game.
No, it was pretty much statewide where I think all the predictions were Millville's going to win this one. They were the favorites too, I think, to repeat as Group 4 state champions.
Yeah, and our team was they were ready to prove everybody wrong, and they came out and played that way the entire 4 quarters of the game, and that's what you got to do against a state championship team like Millville.
Absolutely. A couple of the top performers from that game on Friday. Stephen Ordilli, obviously, hats off to him. 33 carries, 250 yards, 4 touchdowns. I mean, he was running like a man possessed. And John Franchini completed 5 of 7 passes for 42 yards and a touchdown. Cohen Cook did a nice job on defense, 10 tackles, 2 for loss. Hunter Watson all over the field. JJ Sinclair, Antonio Tartaglia, obviously, just to go down the entire list, your entire team. Jamie Tyson had a pick as well. Jake Blum had the other interception. So down the list, you got your star players played like stars. Your role guys played up to their role and then some. But you have to highlight Stephen Ordilli, the star of the game, 4 touchdowns. Where did that come from? We've seen his talent on display all season long, but that was easily, considering the circumstances, the best game of his career.
Yeah, I mean, you've been around sports a long time too. When you're in these championship games, these big games, your big players got to show up and step forward, and our guys did. The guys you just mentioned are key performers for us. That's not take away anything from anybody else on our team because it was a total team effort. But the big guys stepped up and performed. Mm-hmm. Steven at running back. And he had a couple nice, hits on defense too, tackling and being physical up there. Offensively, it was about really blocking was the key for us because when we looked at film from last year, we didn't do a good job of that last year. Mm-hmm. And that was the concentration of this whole season was blocking better because of that game. And it came to fruition on Friday night. On defense, it was being able to tackle in space and get pressure on the quarterback. And we were able to do that and minimize their big plays. They had a couple big plays. Mm-hmm. You're not going to erase everything that Millville has. They got too many good football players over there, but we were able to do that. And then the key component of the game, I thought, really was special teams. We thought we could win that phase of the game, and that could be a big part of the game. If you look at it, Nate Cashy, 5 for 5 on PTs, great kickoffs deep into their end, great coverage on the kickoffs. And then Cohen Cook with the punting, except for one punt where he kind of got pressured and got flushed a little bit. The rest of the punts really pinned the times we had a punt, really pinned Millville down that they would have to drive the field on us if they were going to do anything. And one time they did do it on the big play at the end of the third quarter. But I thought we played excellent in all 3 components of the game, and our big team leaders really stepped up.
Yeah, no doubt. So you look at the scoring summary. It was 14-0. You guys struck first in your first 2 possessions, forced 2 straight 3-and-outs as well. They eventually go down the field. Teron Hale, again, another one of those playmakers from Millville, not going to stop him all night long. He went up and above. Tremendous acrobatic catch on a nice pass from Jacob Zuma. So it's 14-7 at that point. Everyone's probably thinking, all right, this is going to be a ball game now. But you guys just kept your foot on the gas pedal, go up 21-7. You get the interception later from Jamie as well. And then you just mentioned the big plays right there where Millville got back in the game once again, made it a one-possession game. You're not going to contain Lazier Brooks the entire time as well, 84 yards. And I want to ask about that play in particular because at that point, it made it 21-13. They're back into it, and that it seemed like their offense started to finally wake up, and they're like, all right, we can hit these big plays. Now we can maybe strike a little bit harder and obviously get back in the ballgame, maybe take the lead. What was going through everyone's mind when you saw Brooks just, again, jumped above about 3 guys and then just took off like a track star to the end zone?
Yeah, it was scary, when it was a one-score game, to get off to the big start was big for us to score our first 2 possessions, our defense taking them on 3 and outs. But then they scored and they're right back in it again. And then they scored with the third quarter was really a defensive battle. They were shutting us down a little bit. We were shutting them down. They hit the big play, the last play of the third quarter for that 84-yard touchdown. Great play by Brooks, making the catch over one of our guys. Zaman had pressure right in his face on it. It would have been a turnover on downs if we got to him or knocked the ball down right there. They would have had a punt. But he made a great play, and he's a great football player, and Zamat's a great high school quarterback. And, cuts it to another score again. And I think when you're playing this caliber of a football game, and if you have any championship aspirations, you have to respond. And we were able to respond all night. We were able to answer their call because, that momentum shift goes big. And it was a crazy crowd there at Wheaton Field on Friday night on both sides. It was packed. It was as big of a attended high school football game as I've seen, especially in recent memory. But our team came out and we drove the field. Our next possession drove the field. I don't know, it was 65 or 70 yards to score and go back up by 2. And that's where we had to have our comfort level, because they're always a play away. Millville just has guys that can just go the distance at any point. And to be up by 2 and the way our defense was playing, we felt comfortable there. But you're never out of it, And that even at the end of the game, when we drove again, the next possession we had, we drove down the field again. And we were actually talking about a field goal, setting up for a field goal. And I just made the decision. We're not going to go for a field goal because if they block it, return it for a touchdown, get an onside kick, they're back in it again. And, and everything's going their way. So we decided to go with the play action play that just happened to work out and put us up for the final score there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I thought you guys stayed nice and calm, cool and collected, very disciplined as well from a penalty perspective. I know Millville, they basically stalled a lot of their drives out due to penalties that backed them up and seemed like they were gaining momentum. But obviously, when the yellow laundry comes out, they end up walking a little bit backwards. So let's take a look at some of the highlights from the contest on Friday. This first one is Stephen Ordilli's touchdown to put you guys up 14-0 in that first quarter, as you mentioned before.
Yeah, Steven, we did a great job. One of our big, you see that block right there by Rocco DiBiaso on a pancake block there. One of our big points of emphasis during the week of practice was blocking on the perimeter. We have really good athletes who take a lot of pride in blocking, and I coached that position, and we practiced the blocking and talked about, hey, we got to make the blocks on the other side of the line of scrimmage because we didn't do that last year, and it disrupted our run game. And Steven just had one of those nights, man. We've seen it in him before this season, and he's able to set up the blocks and make cuts off it. And he never looks like he's going super fast, but he's going fast. And just had a great night. That's a lifetime memory he'll have forever. All the team will, but him especially having a game like that. And that was big because that put us up by 2 scores. Because against a team like a Millville that can strike so quickly, you're never comfortable being up by only a score. So that was big for us to get up, first 2 possessions. That was the second one right there to put us up 14-0.
No doubt. Now, later in the game, third quarter, this is before the Brooks touchdown that got them back into it as the clock expired in the third quarter, but they were driving again. So let's take a look at this second play right here. This is Jamie Tyson's interception, the first of 2 from Jacob Zamat. But again, they're close to midfield right here, but he just overshot his man. Then Jamie just made a nice play out of the air.
Yeah, this was key because they're coming back, down by 2 scores, and they're driving the field again. You're right. And we had good pressure. Our defensive coaching staff had a nice scheme for Millville this week where we were really able to get pressure on the quarterback with the least amount of defenders because we knew we needed guys in coverage. We weren't going to be able to go man-to-man on their 2 receivers, especially Hale and Brooks. And, Jamie's just in the right spot at the right time many times this season. I think that was his 9th interception on the season,
yeah,
which
that's
is
correct.
a school record. He already set the school record. He's just adding to it. And that was big to stop that drive and just kind of stop the bleeding to a degree and get the momentum back on our side. Just kind of, and we were, that third quarter there, that Millville did a good job of stopping us. I think we had a punt like 3 times there in that third quarter, at least twice. But we were able to chew some more clock up. And that was a big part of our game plan also, was chewing the clock up. We wanted to make sure we could limit their opportunities, control the ball, control the pace of the game. And that goes to our quarterback. Our quarterback, that's what we talked about in our game plan during the week. And he did an excellent job of controlling the football and controlling the clock with his management of the huddle and the snap count on Friday night.
Yeah, I thought you guys did a great job with game clock management, especially running the play clock down, just those time-consuming drives. And I think you noticed it on the first 2 drives of the football. Actually, it was in more particular the first drive of the game that put you guys up 7-0, especially after forcing that 3 and out. So we'll head to the fourth quarter right now for this highlight, and this is not Rocco DiBiase. So we'll get to him in a second. This is Stephen Ordili. This is not a touchdown, which is a rarity, it seems like, with these highlights. But this game, or this run right here, essentially, I would say, put the game out of reach. You guys ended up scoring a touchdown, which we'll show in a second. But I feel like this play kind of put the game on ice.
Yeah, you're right. I think it's a 2-score game at this point right here. We needed a big play. The toss play was working very well for us most of the evening. They outflanked us on that play. And Steve, like I said before, made a great read, cut it back inside, not designed to go back in there. But he saw the leverage that they had and just cut it right inside and was able to take it all the way down. I was just worried he might fumble it here because the guy's coming up from behind. He protected the ball at the last moment there. And that was really, I think, the backbreaker, the icing on the cake kind of play right there. Because we knew at least we were going to run at least 4 more plays, and they would be deep in their own end, at least to have to drive the field with, I don't even know how much time is left there, 4 minutes or 3 minutes or something like that.
Yeah, we were about more than halfway through the quarter at that point.
And we were able to grind that clock all the way down. I think we wound up scoring a few plays later with just like a minute left in the game or something like that, And this is a 4th down play. This was we had a break in that, and I told Jamie what to do in the one play, and I told the quarterback if the safety flies with the motion, which they were doing to try to get an extra defender to the flank, to look right to the middle. And Johnny made just a great read on that and hit the pass to Rocco to really put the game out of reach with that little amount of time left, to put us up by 3 scores.
Yeah, I thought that was the exclamation point on the football game right there. One more touchdown, just for good measure, of course, that led you guys to the 35-13 win, winning the sectional title. And obviously, there was a big celebration. Yeah. I got to say, Coach, this was probably, correct me if I'm wrong, this has to be one of the more satisfying victories of your coaching career. But you can even go back to just last year when you guys won the sectional title to get to the state semifinals. But this one maybe felt a little sweeter here in 2023.
Yeah, this is we were talking about on the ride home the significance of that victory. Not only because of the way we lost to them last year, but overall in the program and the team that you're playing, a 2-time defending sectional champion, the defending state champion on their field, being a huge underdog in the game by many people. I really thought that historically, I think it was like probably one of the biggest ones that I've been around. I think back to 1995. We upset number 1 ranked Woodrow Wilson on their field to win our 2nd title in school history. And, I've been around for all the titles Mainland's ever had. And I think that one's always special because that was our first one as a coaching staff together under Bob Coffey. And this one's, obviously my favorite one. You never think you're going to top anything. Last year was pretty special too. But this one was a kind of redemption one. I had a little bit more of a taste to it. And being an underdog and always winning on somebody else's field is special. And it was just great for the kids because, knowing what they went through last year and to get to this point and really knowing what they've gone through in their career. I think that showed on Friday night the maturity of our kids and the program where, a couple of years ago we were winning 4 games or 2 games, in back-to-back seasons. And these kids were freshmen and sophomores playing the seniors that we have now and getting a rear ends kicked. The last time we were at Wheaton Field, we lost 63-0 to them.
Yeah.
So that was in the minds of some of those kids too, believe me, because they were sophomores that year and they were on the field playing. Then to lose a heartbreaker last year, which everybody thought was a fluke that we were able to stay that close, and then to come out here this week and prove it and win that championship. It was really sweet, and I think it's one of the bigger wins in the Mainland football history.
Well, this was certainly not a fluke this time around. 35-13, winning the South Jersey Group 4 sectional title onto the state semifinals against the Central Jersey champion, Winslow Township. So that game will be on a Friday night at their place at 6 p.m. So we're going to circle back, Coach, after this quick break, and we'll start previewing that one for the state semifinals coming up on Friday. Keep it locked here. Chuck Smith Show right here on Cape Atlantic Live.
This Cape Atlantic Live production of Mainland Regional Football is brought to you by Charlie's Bar and Restaurant, The Docks Place, Diorio's Bar and Grill, Shore Orthopedic, Golden Nugget Atlantic City Casino Hotel and Marina, Edmonds GovTech, Darcy Johnson Day Law Firm, and Ulmer's Appliance Service.
Welcome back to the Chuck Smith Show right here on Cape Atlantic Live. Nick Costco alongside Mainland head coach Chuck Smith. 12-0 the Mustangs are sectional champions for the second straight season. They'll head to the state semifinals in Group 4 on Friday night at Winslow Township. So, Coach, 2 games now away from that state title, which is only in its second year of existence in the state of New Jersey. So, getting in on the ground floor, so to speak, with a potential state championship. But first, Winslow Township on Friday. Just first impressions with Winslow coming up this weekend.
They're an impressive football team. We started watching tape yesterday morning as a staff of them when we had our staff meeting. We watched the Millville game, reviewed that real fast, and as soon as it was over, we did our little awards and put that binder away and opened up Winslow. And they're very impressive. The quarterback that they have playing Ruffin, I think it is. I think it's Ruffin. Last few weeks, number 13, he's a big, strong kid, can throw the ball down the field, takes off sometimes on the run. He's like 215 pounds. They have little scat back running backs with a good burst of speed, very much like Millville's running backs. And they have a wide receiver, number 10, who is scary. He's got several college offers, D1 offers, and they throw like little screens out to him, and the kid can go from 0 to 100. He's just like the Millville wide receivers. He's right along the category with those two guys, how he can change it. And then on defense, they're not overly big, but they're very quick. They're very quick up front on the defensive line. Their linebackers pursue well to the ball. Their safeties are very involved in run support. They got guys. They're very athletic, a very fast football team. And, they're 10-2 for a reason, they beat Long Branch last week, and they beat Hamilton in the first round of the playoffs, decidedly, and did a great job of containing Kenny Smith, Hamilton's big running back. So they're a dangerous team, and we got to go up there and play up there. It's going to be a tough battle for us on Friday night.
Yeah, just looking at their offensive weapons, you mentioned Deontay Ruffin, the quarterback in right now. Now, he wasn't the starter originally. The freshman Jalen Parker was in there. He was also very impressive. Obviously, he's been out with an injury for a few weeks, so it's probably going to be Ruffin on Friday. But he has 14 touchdown passes to his name, also 9 on the ground. Can really throw it. And the receiver you were referring to, Jalen Hornsby, the Texas A&M commit, he is not catching a lot of balls, Coach, but 19 for 338 and 7 touchdowns. So he's at near a 50% scoring rate when he catches the football.
Yeah, he catches some balls, man. He can just – it looks like everybody has him contained, and he's able just to hit the accelerator and go. He has a tremendous burst of speed, and he's a game changer. That he's one of those types of kids that you can't get him the ball enough. We're going to have to do a really good job of paying attention to where he is. And getting pressure on the quarterback, obviously, because if you give him time to throw, he can throw the ball, and he can throw the ball down the field. He can really extend the field surface with his arm.
Does have a cannon for an arm. Also, Cam Miller, the other wide receiver, 57 catches to his name, over 1,300 yards and 15 touchdowns. So they have some weapons. They have some dudes, as we like to call them, on that offense. You mentioned the quick defense as well. So the message this week, Coach, I can only imagine it probably does not change. This is not new territory for you guys, considering this is where you got to this point in 2022 with virtually the same team, sans a few guys. So I gotta say, you're probably not changing anything up this week, other than the fact that Winslow's the next opponent.
Yeah. I mean, this is where we were last year, so we got as far as we did last year, and our goal at the beginning of the season was state championship, and we can't get there unless we take care of this Friday night. So the kids know that. They know what our vision and the path to the vision is right now. We've been checking boxes all along. Each week we're hitting another one, And like I said to the kids when the playoffs began, each week gets harder, man. And that's how it's supposed to be when you're at this level of football. The opponents are going to be that much better every week that you get by. And now, we're playing a sectional champion. Two sectional champions are playing against each other for the right to go and represent in the state playoff game, state championship game. And, so the kids know what this is all about. We'll talk about tomorrow when we have our team meeting of the week. We'll do some film study and stuff like that before we head out to the field. But, I know they're excited about it. We had a great time on Friday, and after the game and the celebration and the parade back in town, back to the school, and the amount of fans that came out to support the kids along the streets and at the school parking lot. It was really awesome. But, there's a bigger goal that's still down the road for us. And the kids know that. And they know, Friday night's now over. The weekend's over with. We come into school tomorrow, Monday, and it's back to work and get ready to get, because that was our talk in July, man, is state championship. That's what we want to do, is hoist that state championship trophy. And we have a big obstacle with Winslow on Friday night ahead of that to try to get to our goal.
Rutgers University is the goal in a couple of weeks, but first Winslow Township on Friday night. That game at 6 p.m. at Winslow. One more on that one, Coach. You mentioned playing on the road last week against Millville. It was an atmosphere the kids love to embrace because you're going to somebody else's house. Last year, neutral field against Millville in the state semis. That was at Cherokee. This time, you actually are going to someone's home field. Does that change anything, or do you have that same mentality as last week, saying this is what it's all about? We're going to somebody else's place for an old-fashioned high school football game here for pretty much almost all of it on the line?
And I think sometimes, I think it's neat when you have a championship game at a neutral site. The venue like at a Rutgers or a Rowan University, I think is really awesome. Sometimes I think you can get lost in that atmosphere too, especially when you have South Jersey teams traveling up north.
Yeah.
Your fans don't always make that trip. But it's neat when you can play at somebody's stadium because there's more of a better atmosphere, I think, for high school athletics that way. You're going to get your support from whoever home team is. They're going to have their fan base there and their band and all that stuff. And hopefully, with the distance or whatever, the opposing team can bring theirs. Like last week, I'll tell you, man, I knew we were going to travel well just because I knew the support the school was giving us with the fan buses and all that stuff. I think we took 3 fan buses out there. And but I didn't realize it because I never turned around and look at the stands. But after the game was over and I turned around and saw the kids running over to the student section, I realized how crowded it was. And when I was watching the broadcast of it yesterday, just to see the amount of people from end of bleacher to the other end of the bleachers packed, and then all along the fence, the people that were standing there, it was really tremendous. And I hope we can do that. I expect we'll do the same thing this Friday night.
No doubt. So that game at Winslow, 6 p.m., New Jersey State Group 4 semifinals. A trip to Rutgers University is on the line for a potential state championship for the Mainland Mustangs, or maybe even Winslow Township. So we'll see what happens, Coach. And again, good luck on Friday as always. Hopefully we're talking next week once again in celebration, getting ready for a state championship at Rutgers University and try to bring home the first one in Mainland school history. Appreciate your time as always.
Yeah, we're not ready to do a season wrap-up yet, But, thank you, Nick. I appreciate it very much.
No doubt. Head coach Chuck Smith. This is the Chuck Smith Show right here on Cape Atlantic Live.